How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it.
My name is Jonathan Gillum.
And this is The Experts.
This is Jonathan Gillum right here, and this is The Experts on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, I think. Let me see if I can adjust this, I'm gonna adjust my mouthpiece here a little bit. Hold on. Let's see, where is it? It's okay. Let's see if I can adjust it a little bit. How about this?
Now I've got the Dave Robinson voice. Woohoo! It's Friday, and that there is a full frozen beer that is going to give me a headache when I drink it, but make sure that you have your drinks ready.
Make sure that you don't have it frozen like me, or you may have to go to the hospital. I don't want to have to take care of that, but anyway. What we're going to talk about today, I wish this was really my voice.
But it's not. So I wish my voice was really like that. Let's get started and I'll tell you about what we're going to talk about. Let's do it. All right, that was fun. It's a good Friday. I'm happy that see, we got 81 people. That means I probably scared off like no telling how many people. So yeah, I put my beer in the freezer because I just got it from the store a little while ago and it just wasn't cold enough. And you know, go figure. Like every night when I try to start on time, my maintenance guy comes over because my air conditioner, it's a heater air conditioner. It just stays hot. That's why I've been, if it looks like I was blinky all this past week, it's because the heat never went off in this apartment for an entire week. So it's just I'm somebody that likes the place to be real kind of cold actually, and so it's been really hot in here. So he came to fix it. Couldn't quite get it fixed, so I had to kick him out. It just got too late. And so we got some great stuff to talk about tonight. I didn't plan on this being a long show. I wanted to do a short show, and we'll do a toast. But it's going to be a profound show, I think, because, man, there's just so much giving this week of news, of real news. So this ought to be pretty interesting as we roll through this. And I had a great time hosting the David Webb Show today. If you have Sirius, you didn't get to watch it, you can go back and watch it. And it was we got some incredible callers. We talked about, I had one guest the whole 3 hours, and that was from the White House to talk about taxes, which I don't know if I don't know if I agree with necessarily what he had to say. I mean, not that I disagree. I don't see any of these plans being worthy of so much celebration that's going on up there. I don't get it. I don't see it. And but again, we got to have a show on here where I have somebody that knows more about taxes than I do, so that we can actually dive into this whole process. But you're probably wondering what the title of the show today was about and why I have on there. I say that first of all, we're going to review Hillary Clinton's insanity, her interview insanity. I'm going to go through that, and then we're going to talk about how Apple is too hung up on race to be diverse. And yes, I did have racist on there before, but I didn't want to use that term because people misconstrue what I'm trying to say. It is a form of racism, and I think they're too hung up on race to actually be diverse. So we're gonna discuss that as well, and I don't know, maybe some other goofy stuff as we go along. But let's go ahead and let's start with Hillary Clinton's. This lady is either such a liar that it is clinical, or she is crazy and doesn't get it. So I'm going to pull this up over here. So shield your eyes. If you have sunglasses, you may want to put them on. I'm sorry, that wasn't nice. I shouldn't say stuff like that. But one of the things I want to point out here as this starts, and I full screen it. Hold on just a second here. I know that I can full screen this, unless they're going to. So let's do it this way. Hold on. The laptop is not allowing me to full screen it. So that looks like it might work right there. There you go. That's good enough. I think. So there's a couple of things about this that I want to talk about here with this Hillary Clinton video before I bring it up. One of the things is that she's talking to somebody from Mother Jones. Okay, that is the leftist website that is constantly going after Sean Hannity for anything, and they are ran by just weirdo people. I forgot what the guy's name was that was being accused now of actually inappropriately touching women at Mother Jones. And I don't know what the deal is with this online publication, but everybody that works there is odd. This guy is he's just odd looking dude. And I'm not somebody that really likes to go around talking about how people look. I think that that's something a lot of times that you're born with, and there's nothing you can really do about it. So it's not something that I think shows character or anything like that, unless you're just a dirty, filthy person. But you can tell when this guy is talking, he is so fixated on Hillary Clinton that it is He just is in love and in awe of her. So let's go ahead. I'm going to start and stop this throughout the interview because I want to, I really want to dive into, so I have not listened to this interview. Okay, so that's another important thing, is to realize that I have not listened to this interview. So as I'm reacting to it, you're going to see my analysis in real time, okay? I just heard a little soundbite on TV. That's all I heard.
Hi, Secretary Clinton.
Hi.
Great to see you back in New York.
It's great to be here with you.
Oh, he's in
Thank
love.
you for sitting down with Mother Jones.
I'm glad to.
So you write in your book that the impact of voter suppression didn't get enough attention in 2016. And there was one study that found that there were 1 million lost votes in the 2016 election. So do you think voter suppression cost you the election?
I think it contributed to the outcome. I think in a couple of places, most notably Wisconsin, I think it had a dramatic impact on the outcome. But I also think that Wisconsin was the target for a lot of weaponized false information, and whatever role that played in conjunction with the suppression, so that some people stayed home, some people may have switched their vote away from me, but at the end of the day,
because you're a criminal. All right, people didn't vote for you because you're crazy and you're a criminal and your husband is a rapist. I mean, listen, I'm not saying anything that is out of bounds that I believe. I mean, I'm not being judgmental. I'm not a judgmental person. But I'm an investigator, and there is proof in these things. There is proof that Bill Clinton had inappropriate and in certain cases highly aggressive, unwarranted sexual confrontations with women, which is basically another word for that is rape, and also with inappropriate sexual activity with Monica Lewinsky when she was an intern and he was the president and this was his wife, and they went after those women and they destroyed a lot of those women and put them in fear and suppressed what the truth and from coming out. And this woman wonders why people didn't want to vote for her. There were people jumping over to vote for Donald Trump in secret because they cannot handle this woman. I'm not telling anybody that's watching this show that follows me anything that is a surprise to anybody. I'm sure that everybody that thinks like I do sees this. It's no big surprise. But it's beyond me if this is either some kind of a psychopathic game that's being played, and people like this guy right here, it's no pickup on surprise, and or she's just that crazy. So I don't know what they're talking about, the voter suppression. Everybody that I know that went out to go vote, every single person, and I talked to thousands of people, every person that I talked to went and voted for who they wanted to vote for reasons that they had thought out. Not because they stayed home because they were afraid, or people didn't go vote for Hillary Clinton because they don't like Hillary Clinton and because she is a criminal. I'm not trying not to use the word nefarious because I use that word too much, I'm being told. All right, let's continue.
very clear policy of the Republican administration in Wisconsin to shrink the electorate and suppress votes certainly cost me votes and very well could have cost me the election there. We have got to do much more, number one, to fight against these voter suppression techniques and gerrymandering, because they do go hand in hand. But we've got to figure out a way to help equip people who want to vote, because if we don't, I'm worried. I'm worried about 2018.
You're worried because nobody wants you in office anymore. That's why you're worried. You don't care about the United States or the Constitution. You've lived off of taxpayer money your entire adult life. You don't care what other people think. You are comfortable with being supported by our taxes, and you think of yourself as the ruling elite. That's why you're worried. Reminds me of a criminal. When they're about to get caught and they know that they're about to get caught, they start getting real sad. Not because they realize, I've been doing something wrong. No, they realize that they're going to get caught and it's going to be the end of good times for them. That's what she's feeling.
both some of our Senate incumbents are from states that have really turned the spigot against access to voting, and I just don't want to see us lose races that we could have won if we'd gotten people actually to vote.
So you mentioned weaponized disinformation.
And I think when she's talking about people to vote, she's talking about all these minorities that have come, I shouldn't say minorities, just say illegal aliens that have come over from other countries. They're trying so hard to give them voter cards. We're talking about felons in all liberal cities. You don't see any conservatives trying to get felons to vote. So the stuff that's coming out of her mouth is ridiculously strange, to tell you the truth. It's strange that somebody could literally sit there and say this stuff. Well, I'll tell you what's two strange things. That she could sit there and say this with a straight face, and that this guy is so serious about listening to this. What is this weird psychological thing that's happening in this country? I don't get it. It's weird.
About that, because this obviously relates to voter suppression.
Right.
What impact do you think Russian interference had in the election?
Okay, and where did this voter suppression thing just all of a sudden it's a thing that voter suppression exists? And is it me? I'm trying not to act like I live in a bubble. I don't live in a bubble, but I just, does anybody here know of voter suppression? This is just another narrative. And somehow, some way, they're tying this to the Russians. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
I think it was one of the major contributors to the outcome.
Oh.
Propaganda works. Advertising works. It's a form of propaganda. So the Russians...
I almost spit out my beer ice. She is the master. I'll give her this. What she just said about propaganda works... let's see, what was it again? She's the master of this. She learned from Saul Alinsky.
Major contributors to the outcome. Propaganda works. Advertising works.
There you go. That's what they do. That's what the Democratic Party is so great at. The Republican Party sucks at it, right? But the Democratic Party and Hillary Clinton, they are experts in propaganda and advertising, and people like that. This guy doing the interview buy into it.
Propaganda.
Of course, she's going to tie this into the Russians somehow.
Russians may have started out a little heavy-handed and clumsy about it, but they were clearly getting guided as to where to target a lot of their fraudulent claims and their phony news. And I say that because it also, you have to talk about it in conjunction with the theft of the DNC emails and John Podesta's emails, and then the weaponization of those. It was, oh my gosh, John Podesta mentions the word pizza. That's code for Hillary Clinton and John Podesta running.
Okay, so here's one thing that I find, again, I've not listened to this. I've never, ever in my life, I mean, I've had a very honorable career. I'm a moralistic person. Never been accused of anything that has to do with pedophilia. Never been accused of it. If somebody accused me of it, they better hope they're not in the same room with me, because I'm going to punch them right in the freaking face. And if they're not in the same room with me, they're going to start a war of words that is going to go down in history as one of the most lethal wars of words ever, because I will not stand for that. I won't stand for that. And it's not funny. There's nothing funny about it at all. For her to make a joke, she just made a joke because she was accused of John Podesta is accused of being linked to a pedophile ring. All right? That to me is not funny. And she's making a joke about it, and look at this idiot right here. He thinks this is hilarious. You see, this is what is so weird about these people up there, and you wonder why people like Al Franken has the balls to say, it's Friday, I can say balls, to say, yes, I think there should be an ethics investigation because of what I did. He says that because he's a criminal, and he really thinks there's going to be nothing come about it. And there very well may not be, because they're all living this weird bubble of the ruling elite. This is sick. For this individual to make a joke about pedophilia, and this guy thinks that's funny. How strange is that? That is not nefarious. That's deviant. Let me listen to that again.
It was, oh my gosh, John Podesta mentions the word pizza. That's code for Hillary Clinton and John Podesta running a child trafficking ring. People believed that stuff, Ari. And why? Because they saw it on the internet. And so this was a very...
You know, a vast majority, Mrs. Clinton, of people that believed it because they saw the similarity in the signs, in the graphs, and the different things that languages that pedophile rings use, and the emails that John Podesta has. I've never, ever even brought up Pizzagate. Never brought it up. Because I know it's a no-win situation with the liberal social media, the liberals that own the social media. They'll crush you as fast as you can say your name. That's why I never bring it up. She brought it up. So what I will say about this is that most of the people that have heartburn about this pizza gate and all these different things, they didn't read it on the internet. They went and saw the emails. And they put two and two together. And once somebody pointed out that these are symbols that pedophiles use, and these are symbols, or these are words that they use to talk about children, and how these words were in there, people started to get curious about it. That's how this came about. Not because people turned on the internet and, you know, one of these knuckleheads from I blocked their name of their, you know, the left or the right wing freaking InfoWars, because they brought it up. That wasn't why it got spread. It got spread because there's legitimate similarities. And why would she be bringing this up?
Information campaign.
So between the Republican voter suppression you talked about,
look at this guy.
Interference, do you think it was a legitimate election?
I think that there are lots of questions about its legitimacy.
Really?
And we don't have a method for contesting that in our system.
Actually, you do.
That's why I've long advocated for an independent commission to get to the bottom of what happened. Because, look,
an independent commission made up of Republicans and Democrats. What they should have is elimination of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And when it comes to voting and controlling the votes, they should have civilians or law enforcement agencies, non-federal, by the way, taking charge of the voting. That's what they should have, making sure that it's secure that way, because you can't trust the DNC, you can't trust the RNC, you can't trust the FBI, you can't trust the CIA. And listen, I'm not bagging on the operators in the CIA and the FBI, although the FBI is highly liberal now, and so is the CIA. However, what I'm talking about are the political appointees. You can't trust them. So what's she talking about, some independent counsel? There's not going to be anything independent about it. It's going to be other politicians.
this is the first time we've ever been attacked by a foreign adversary, and then
bull crap. See, here's where my knowledge comes in, and I can tell you she's lying. Our country is constantly being attacked. It's not overt where they're out there shooting guns. We are constantly being attacked in cyber warfare. It's constant. And not just cyber warfare. In information warfare, espionage, where other countries come in with their intelligence units and they steal our secrets. They try to figure out what we're going to do next before we do it. And they try to listen in and gain secrets on technology so they can wage real war against us. That's the reality. We're under attack on a daily basis, just like we're attacking other people on a daily basis. That's why Barack Obama had people in Israel. That's why, you know, the thing about Angela Merkel came out that we were listening to them. These things happen on a daily basis. This is just another lie. Listen, remember, I have not listened to this. That is a lie, though.
they suffer no real consequences. And so I'm worried that we're not learning all the lessons. It's one of the reasons why I wrote the book, because I wanted people at least to understand what I saw as the factors, including, you know, shortcomings of myself and my campaign. But the forces at work
which there were many
my campaign are not going away. somebody else is going to be running for Congress or governor or eventually president. We've got to know how to protect ourselves.
So you have a lot of questions.
And we did that a year ago when you didn't get elected. And the founding fathers, these wise men from over 240 years ago, set in place a thing called the Electoral College so that the rural areas would have as much of a powerful voice as the big metropolitan cities where the majority of people were living, and so that the popular vote wouldn't outweigh the rural areas. The popular vote of the cities wouldn't tell people how to live in rural areas. That is what happened a year ago. We kept you from winning.
About the legitimacy of the election.
I do, sure, because I think
this guy truly believes this.
As we learn more about it, we know that the web of connections between people on Trump's team and Russian
only in New York, you get some guy playing musical horn at 8:49 at night on a big truck. Anyway,
representatives just gets more and more dense. Certainly the Trump administration has no interest in finding out the truth. They're allergic to the truth in a lot of settings, so they're certainly going to be trying to do everything they can to prevent it from coming out here.
This woman is crazy. She's insane. I hope you guys are finding this as funny as I am, because she's crazy. This woman's insane.
Republicans need to understand that this can turn on them as well. I may have been the primary victim, but there were other Democrats, as you know and as you've covered, who were also caught up in some of the, stolen emails and the kinds of weaponized information attacks. We're all at risk if we allow a foreign power to insinuate itself into our election and begin to affect how voters think. And I hope that Republicans will understand that responsibility is to our country first and party second.
One more question about Russia. So you called Donald Trump Putin's puppet, famously,
yes, I did.
in a presidential debate.
Putin, from everything I see, has no respect for this person.
Well, that's because he'd rather have a puppet as president of the United
puppet,
States.
No puppet.
Do you still think he's Putin's puppet?
I do. I do. I don't know how.
This coming from the woman who, she's going to talk about this in a second, I think, who sold our uranium rights, 20% of our uranium rights, to a Russian-controlled company that is a Putin puppet. Somebody who made deals with Russia so her husband could get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in exchange for whatever, probably that uranium deal. The only difference between her and a puppet is she doesn't have strings coming off of her, but she was definitely being controlled and definitely making deals with the Russians. It's obvious when you look at it from an investigative standpoint of the reality of their relationship and the things that were going. And when Barack Obama talked to the ambassador that one time, said when he gets reelected, they'll be able to do a lot more. That's the relationship that these people had with the Russians. Don't be fooled by this at all.
The President of the United States, with all of the concerns about the integrity of our elections, could meet with Putin just recently and basically say, well, he told me again he didn't do it. I can't believe that he's so naive. I think that he hopes or expects the rest of us to be naive, or at least the people who support him to be naive. Clearly, his relationship with, or his dependence on, or his worries about Putin personally outweigh his responsibilities to our country and his duty to execute laws.
Election Day 2017 was a very good night for Democrats.
Right.
Kind of what some people were hoping for in 2016.
Yes.
Do you have any predictions for 2018?
My hope is, and it's not yet a prediction, but my hope is that we will continue the momentum and have the energy that we saw, but it won't amount to anything if, number one, we don't have good candidates and we don't help them prepare and we don't help train them and we don't support them. Number two, if we don't deal with voter suppression and try to get better prepared than we were in 2016 to combat its effects. But if we do all of that, I think we've got a real shot in 2018, and that's what I'm putting all my energy into.
Thank you so much, Secretary Clinton. It was great to sit down with you.
Thank you, Secretary Clinton. It's great. So, this guy's a weirdo. She's a psychopath. And if this woman wins in the next election, you might as well give up because, I mean, de Blasio just won. A confessed communist in New York City is now the mayor again for a second term. Perhaps the worst mayor in the history of New York City, and they elected him again by a landslide. Something is happening in this country, and if the conservatives don't get off their asses and start, I don't care. You got to start voting. You got to get out there and vote. You got to get out there and organize. You got to get there and out there and have conversations. If you don't start doing it, that is going to be your next president. She's not going away. I can guarantee you that. Guys like this are going to be, I guess it's a guy, they're going to be so happy about this. Remember what I was saying last night about men not being men anymore in this country. I'm not putting the guy down because I think he looks weird or because he's effeminate. I'm saying men look at things. Men evaluate things. Men take charge of things. This guy right here is being walked all over by a psychopath. Doesn't matter if it's a woman. He's being walked all over by a psychopath. He's buying right into it. Okay. Maybe I'm being too harsh. I don't know. You tell me if I am. I just blocked that whack job, Bobby McGee. He's gone. Bobby McGee. He's gone. He only had 10 followers. He'll go make another one. So, let's see. I think I blocked him. He should be gone. Let's see here. I'll make sure. I'll block him again. All right, there you go. Everybody's using profanity tonight, even Maureen. So, all right, let's get this off here. Is that not the weirdest interview? I knew it was going to be weird. I knew it was going to be strange. Here's the next thing I want to talk about, and then I was wanting to go fast and furious and get this thing over with tonight, but I've got to tell you that how do I get her off the screen? Can't get it done fast enough. When I saw this story on FoxNews.com, let's see if it comes up here when you read it. Apple's first vice president of diversity stepping down after 6 months on the job, report says. Now, I thought when I was going to read this that I probably wasn't going to agree with this person, that this is probably just another one of these leftists who come in and they're an HR specialist, you know, a human resource specialist. And so I scrolled down and I started reading this. And this surname, her name was or is Denise Young Smith, and she was the first ever. I'm going to read this. First ever vice president of diversity is leaving the company at the end of the year. TechCrunch reports. Denise Young Smith is her name, who joined Apple in 1997, became the tech giant's first vice president of diversity and inclusion in May. She was the company's head of human resources before taking the diversity role. Now, here's the thing. When I saw the quote, because she had to leave because of something she said, I was thinking, okay, here's another ESPN wannabe that's going to say something and it's going to be bad. This is what she said. She said there can be 12 white, blue-eyed, blonde men in a room, and they're going to be diverse too. They're going to be diverse too because they're going to bring a different life experience and life perspective to the conversation. Let me say that one more time because maybe I'm missing something here. All right? She said there can be 12 white, blue-eyed, blonde men in a room, And they're going to be diverse too, because they're going to bring a different life experience and life perspective to the conversation. That was said by her. Am I missing something here? Is that not an amazing statement? Something that actually broke away from the norms of the left, where they think that diversity, that in order to have a team, that you have to have specific numbers of people that have that's based on skin color. This is a woman who has dark skin. There's no mistaking that. Beautiful woman. And the most beautiful part about her is her brain. What she just said makes more sense than anybody I've heard in recent time that is dealing with diversity. This woman should be given a medal for that. But instead, what happened? She's being forced out at Apple. Now, you know, I remember when I sat, and many of you remember this, I sat with Tamika Mallory and some other guy, racist guy, who, for Lisa Evers' radio show a while back, I tried to do Lisa a favor and go be on this show to be a voice of reason. It was supposed to be about unity, and so I didn't think there was going to be anything going on there. It was supposed to be a show about unity. I go on there, and the very first words out of this little girl's mouth was, and she's not a woman. She got very angry because I called her a little girl. She needs to grow up and become mature and get some experience, some knowledge, and some understanding before I'll ever call her a woman. I know because I was raised by a woman. She is a little girl who knows nothing about life, knows nothing about people. That's Tamika Mallory, one of the best friends of Linda Sarsour, the jihadist, who GQ named one of the women of the year. So Apple is so hung up, or let me go back to that. When I was there with Lisa Evers and sitting down with Tamika Mallory there, I had never fully experienced. I mean, I take that back. I experienced full racism when I was trying to get a job as a police officer. Because of affirmative action, I couldn't get a job in 1997. I had 2 college degrees. I had was in the best shape of my life, competing on collegiate levels, was waiting to try to get into the SEAL teams, and could not get a job as a cop because they were so fixated on hiring minorities. And how do they base the term minority? What is that based on? It's based on this. It's based on the same skin color and the melanin in the skin that caused, you know, all of the stuff since, you know, when the country had slaves and people were judged based on the color of their skin, and Martin Luther King gave his life for, and all these people struggled for, and yet I was kept from being a cop until finally Camp Robinson Police Department hired me. I couldn't get a job because of the color of my skin. That was it. So it bothers me. It bothers me the way this has gone in this country, where you have a beautiful person like this, an intelligent woman that has worked for Apple for many, many years. I don't remember how many years they said. 17 years, I think, is what it was. She joined in 1997. So she's been at Apple for a long, long time. And she's going to be replaced by this person, Christy Smith, a 17-year veteran of consulting giant Deloitte. She's going to be taking over the role. All because of this, of what she said. That you could take blonde-haired, blue-eyed men and put them in a room and still have diversity, because the diversity comes from here. It doesn't come from here. If you don't want to be judged by this, you shouldn't be judging others based on this. What I've found in all my travels around this country, I've met incredible people with different skin colors. I've met women and men that were unbelievable. Never once did I say, she's a great person because she's a woman. I loved her stories because she's a woman. That guy was awesome because he's black. Man, the knowledge that just poured out of his black skin was unbelievable. I never said that because I never felt it, and because it's not true. People, sorry, I've got this beer. It's like in me. These people like at Apple are racist. They are so, but we usually look at racism and call somebody a racist because they're judging down on somebody. And I'm not saying they're looking at other people and saying you're less of a person than this person, which I brought up all these different definitions, okay? Because I want, Apple is the biggest company in the world now. They got more money than any other company in the world, all because of these phones, if you believe it or not. So when I look at the definition of diversity, for instance, hello, and this comes off of Webster's Dictionary, the condition of having or being composed of different elements, the inclusion of different types of people, such as people of different races and cultures, in a group or organization, programs intended to promote diversity in schools. Okay. When I look at this, I see nothing in this that talks about fairness, which they're also about. I see nothing in this that talks about effectiveness. I know you can't see the definition because it's white, but I see nothing in this that speaks to the ethics of a person, the morals of the person, where they grew up, how they were raised, the things that occurred in their life. Webster's Dictionary and the United States government and Apple, they determine diversity based on what you see right here in writing, the inclusions of different types of people, such as people of different races and cultures. Cultures, yeah. Races, that doesn't make a group diverse because somebody has a different color skin. That's the last thing that you should be picking people because of. Let's look at another definition. Let's look at what racism is. Racism, this is off of Wikipedia, is the belief in superiority of one race over another, which often results in discrimination and prejudice towards people based on their race. Now, let's see what let's see what Webster Dictionary says here. A belief that race is a primary determinant of human traits and capacities, that race differences produce an inherent superiority or particular race. Okay, so take out this last part of this, right? An inherent superiority. Let's just look at what they say right here. That race is the primary determinant of human traits, or racism is a belief that race is the primary determinant of human traits and capacities. Well, when you look up here and you look at how they also define diversity, this is the leftists that are coming up with all this stuff. You're looking at the condition or the inclusion of different types of people, such as different races. You see, the very same reason they choose people to include is the very same reason people that hate will choose people to not include. I find that absolutely mind-boggling crazy that people fall for this. I find it absolutely maddening that people fall for this. Am I not the only one that's seeing this on a regular basis, that sees this as how odd it really is? You look at diversity, and literally part of the definition of a racism is in this, that you should include different types of people based on race. Whereas when you look at the term of racism, it's saying that a belief that race is primarily determination of human traits and capacities, that racial differences produce an inherent superiority. It's the same makeup, same definition, just with something a little bit changed. And they're telling you here that if you feel like you're superior based on your skin color, then that's wrong. But when you look at diversity, you're being told that skin color is something that should be recognized, and that changes in the structure of a group or a team should be made because of that. It is mind-boggling, makes no sense to me, and none of this stuff, all of this stuff has to do with superiority of the ruling elite that are making this stuff up and organizing it so well that people buy off on it. That's the reality. It's not about this person being racist of that person. It's not about including this person because of the color of their skin into that group and getting rid of that person because of the color of their skin. That's part of it, but the reality is those are things that are being that are being secreted into people's minds by these ruling elites and by people that make these definitions up. Racism, it should be hate and superiority against others based on the color of their skin. Diversity should be something like, including, if you really want to have a diverse group, if diversity is what you want, then diversity should be based on who the people are, the backgrounds that they come from, where they came from, what they've gone through, this person versus that person. It has nothing to do with the color of your skin. It's just ridiculous. Now, this is interesting, and this is one thing I want to bring out to Apple, is that Apple goes along the lines of Silicon Valley's idea of a team. And when you look at Berkeley, which is in and around that area, and you look at their definition of, and again, I know you're not going to be able to see this. This is teamwork as defined by Berkeley Human Resources. Okay? Now, maybe I should look at this one first. This is teamwork, and this comes from a Navy SEAL, a guy whose dad, I guess, is a Navy SEAL, Dave Anderson. I guess that's what it is. I didn't have time to read the whole article. But let's look at what this person wrote. And I agree with this stuff. I did get to read all these. The definition of teamwork. Teamwork, selfless acts towards a common goal. Selfless. In the military, loners are not welcome. By the end of, so this is going into the experience in SEAL training. Acts. Actions, not words, are what counts. That comes with owning your failures and your successes and making sure that you're doing the best that you can do. Not just the best that you can do, the best that can be done. Towards. The teamwork the Navy SEALs exhibit is not characterized by random activity. Each action they take is meant to move the team towards their goal. A common goal. The team has, I don't even have to read this right here, but the goals that matter on a team are team goals. They are a common goal. You have a mission. You're pushing towards this mission. And he says the bottom line, selflessness is perhaps the most important element for an individual on a team. Selfless acts towards a common goal. Now that's how you build an amazing team. And as I've said in past speeches, you also, and I'm going to pull this down here because I know you guys can't see it and it's screwing up my advertising for the show. When you want to build a team, you have to build leaders, right? A true team is made up of leaders. And as I've said before, leaders are made up of people who are self-aware, people who have an understanding of their job, people that learn to be trusted and learn to trust others, people that are motivated, and people that take initiative. That's what makes up a leader. And if you have several people with those traits, you're going to have a real team. And that's where you get those selfless acts of moving towards a goal. Now let's look how Berkeley defines it. This is Berkeley's HR's definition of teamwork. Consider each employee's ideas as valuable. Be aware of employees' unspoken feelings. first of all, there's a whole page of these things versus just a few on the other one, okay? Act as harmonizing influence. Be clear when communicating. Encourage trust and cooperation among employees of your team. Encourage team members to share information. Delegate problem-solving tasks to the team. Facilitate communication. Got it. Establish team values and goals. Evaluate team performance. Make sure that you have clear ideas of what you need to accomplish. Use consensus. Set ground rules for the team. There's a lot of stuff in here about control and about unity. Very little in here about understanding of a goal, about selfless acts, about moving forward, about true teamwork. Encourage listening and brainstorming. This is just, do you see? I'm going to go over the one again from the SEALs. So different, these two. Let's see here. Hold on. The heck just happened? Okay. Selfless. Be a selfless, have selfless acts towards a common goal. Selflessness. Actually acting, doing something. Not just saying that you're going to do it. Moving towards the goal, right? And having a common goal. So everybody's moving towards that goal together. Now, I think there's much more to teamwork than this, but I think this is a good start. And the bottom line, this person defines it as selfless acts towards a common goal. Apple needs to realize, and then I'll wrap this up. You can hear they're redoing my road outside. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Sounds like a war zone out there. Companies like Apple need to realize that diversity is not based on skin color. If you don't want people to be racist, you shouldn't be racist. Basing diversity off of skin color and condemning a very beautiful and smart woman, intelligent woman, a dedicated woman to that company, and you're condemning her because she used an example of real diversity, which is inside here, not the skin melanin. You're going to have to realize, companies like this are going to have to realize that just like this nefarious house of cards is falling with all these people who've done these sexual things like the Harvey Weinsteins in Hollywood or the Al Frankens in the politics, there's going to be many more that's just going to hopefully will continue to fall as the women gain strength and courage to come out and talk about these things. You're going to see those house of cards fall. My prediction is that places like Apple, Berkeley, all these other companies that subscribe to liberal ideology of diversity, as putting diversity by skin color over what is in a person that they bring to the table and the skill set that they have, what is going to happen is eventually those house of cards are going to fall as well. And I think it's just a matter of time. And I'm going to say nefarious one more time. Nefarious. So, that's it. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't as good of a show as I thought it was going to be. But the reality is, folks, that when we look at what Hillary Clinton was saying and the guy from Mother Jones and the lies in that interaction between those two people, and then when we look at the circle that they run in of about 60 million people in this country, and you see how they define a team, you know that they've never worked in an effective team. Maybe, Apple does some effective things, but I'm here to tell you, I think Apple was much more effective when Steve Jobs was there. They did so much more from the time Steve Jobs started it to the time when he left, so much more from the time that Tim Cook took over until now. And that's because they became a predominantly more liberal and political machine. They also became less in tune with the customer. And they started producing things to make money, not producing things that were quality, which is why people fell in love with Apple to begin with. Apple needs to realize, and these other companies need to realize, Berkeley will never learn this, but true diversity comes from in here and comes from in here. I could have people of all the same color as this woman said from Apple. I don't want to call her this woman. I'm going to say her name. I learned this from a female boss that I had that I must do this. Denise Young Smith. I think Denise Young Smith, if I had an award to give her tonight, I would give her an award. Let's see if I can get this on here. And I think people, I don't know if she has a Twitter, but I think we need to find out, if somebody wants to find out real quick and see if she has a Twitter. I think people should tell her that she's an amazing person for what she said. Because true diversity is what people bring to the table from inside, their skill set that they've learned, how they think, how they see the world. That's true diversity. And it has the sad part about this is that in our quest to be equal, we have gone to a point where we as a country have allowed what defines equality, what is the same thing that we escaped from, which is skin color, which is gender, which is sexuality. We try to get away from judging people because of that. And now what we're being told is if you don't pick people based on their gender, sexuality, or color of their skin, then you are a fascist, a racist, a bigot, when it's just not true. She's none of those. I don't know her personally, but I think we can tell by the way she thinks that's probably not who she is. And she could be as liberal as Rick Unger, but she seems to be an effective thinker, and I appreciate that in the world that we're in. It just doesn't exist. And for Apple to remove her, I think they went 180 degrees out from where they should have gone. But the fact is, Apple and all the rest of these Silicon Valley companies, they are ran by globalistic communists. It's the truth, folks. You knew I was going to use that word at least once tonight. Okay. Yes, somebody just said MLK is rolling over. You're damn right he is. He did his part. And unfortunately, I mean, look, people like Martin Luther King inspired way more people than these than he will ever know and that we'll ever know. And this country is already set for the path. It's already chosen the path. It's interesting. It's very interesting when you think about this. This country has 300 and something million people in it. The world has, I don't know, 8, 10 billion people now. I don't know exactly what it is. But when you think about this country, let's just talk about this country. That's over 300 million different minds that could be thinking for themselves, making decisions based on knowledge, understanding, experience, making decisions based on what they've been through and when they've talked to other people, what they've been through, making real educated decisions. But you know what? The majority of decisions that we make in this country of over 300 million people, they're being made because of two narratives. They're not being made because of the 300 million people that got together and came up with the conclusion that this is the truth, this is effective, and this is what's going to help us have a good life. They're being controlled by two narratives. That's pretty amazing. 300 million people being controlled by narratives set by two different groups of individuals, but by and large work together quite a bit in reality. That should shock you when you think about it. Why don't we do the Friday Night Toast? And we're going to do it to Denise here. I wish she was watching this show because I think like people like this should be honored. So why don't we go to the Truth Zone? And whose daughters? Let me look real quick. Well, you're talking about Martin Luther King's daughter. I could get his niece, who is Coretta Scott King, I believe is her name. She's amazing. I actually was on a show with her on Fox News a while back. So let's do this. Let's go to the Truth Zone. Let's wrap it up. If you haven't shared the show, make sure you share it. Make sure you share it on Facebook. Make sure you retweet it on Twitter. I don't know what we do on YouTube, but make sure that you follow me on Twitter, like my page on Facebook, and subscribe on YouTube. And don't forget, I'm going to be hosting Sean Hannity's radio show next Wednesday. I'll have the call-in number for you, and would love to hear from you all. It's going to be a great show. I'm going to I'm going to be on NRA TV on Tuesday. I don't know what time yet. I think it's 9 a.m., actually, to tell you the truth. And don't forget to go out and get this book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival. I'm going to do a huge part of the show on the Sean Hannity radio show next Wednesday about this book. So if you haven't bought it and you want to know more about it, I'm going to talk a whole lot about it on Wednesday on Sean's show. And then don't forget, the one thing I forgot to say is the GoFundMe page. We started off the month great. It's fizzled again. We have to keep funds coming in. If you like this show, if you think it's important and that the word that's getting out is important, you see it right here. GoFund.me/The Experts Roadshow. Remember, folks, this is the truth. You can do amazing things with maximum results if everybody gives a little. I keep trying to say that. Unity takes little effort, but you can do amazing, amazing, wonderful, and powerful things if we just stood together. Let's go to the Truth Zone. Let's do it right now. How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it. Okay, I guess I actually got to start it. If you don't have your drinks, make sure that you get your drink. And I don't know if she's ever going to see this, but we'll toast to her and to people like her. I want to get her name right, though. Denise Young Smith. So the first toast for tonight is to Denise Young Smith. We'll toast to you, Denise. I'm going to have to do several toasts because this is ice cold. It's going to blow my head up. Thank you for speaking about what diversity really is. We appreciate that. And you're a leader amongst leaders. I want to raise a toast to Leanne Tweeden for coming out against Al Franken. Way to go. I think you're amazing, and that took a lot of guts to finally do that. Let's raise a toast to Leanne Tweeden. May there be more like her. I'm not including the women from Roy Moore because I think we still got a lot to figure out there. But for all the women out, and this has nothing to do whether or not I care about Roy Moore. I don't know Roy Moore, but I don't want to despair. I don't want to go down that road of disparaging people until we find these things out. I think there's plenty of evidence about Al Franken. But I say that we raise a toast to the women in this country. May they be empowered again. May they understand how wonderfully powerful they actually are. I don't think most women know how powerful they are. I think sometimes when you piss them off, they get a little taste of it. But overall, I don't think that women realize you're the mothers of this species. You are the ones that complete men. and in some cases other women, I guess. So I raise my toast to you all. If it wasn't for you, our species would never go forward. If it wasn't for you, I'd have to look at weird dudes with facial hair like myself. Here's to women. Here's to strong women. Here's to freeborn women. Here's to American women. That's powerful. Okay, last toast. I think I can get this down. It's cold. Raise them high. If you don't have a drink, make sure you go get one right now. It's been a week of weird news. It's been a week of interesting things that are coming and crumbling dynasties, and we have momentum in this country. So I haven't said anything to the CQRF in a long time. Here's to all the people out there that are this close to organizing for the right reasons. Here's to the people that are there that are waking up and saying, something's got to happen. I raise my toast for you all. I raise my toast with you all. And I hope that you will join me, because we only have one life to live. And you may die tomorrow, you may die in 10 years. What are you going to take with you? What will be your legacy? Let's stand together and make one giant, ferocious, free legacy. Let's do it. That's Rico. I'm Jonathan Gillum. This is The Experts. The truth has arrived. I'll see you Monday. God bless you. Have a great weekend. I love all of you. Even if you're liberal, come on board. Let's get this country back on track. The truth has arrived. How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it.